Hello. It's great to be back with you guys again. I feel like I should note that my previous video about why you should come and live here for a month contains wonderful information, and I hope you will look at it. But when I posted it, my neighbor ran over and said, "Don't ever make a video with the camera below your head because it looks like you have more chins than a Chinese phone book." And I knew that that was true, but I wanted you all to see my new stained glass of Jesus. But I guess if I want to show Jesus again, I'll just show Jesus and not share the screen with him. But at any rate, it's a beautiful summer day here in San Miguel. The high is expected to be 74. Our rains have started just in the last week or so. They normally start somewhere between the middle of May and the middle of June. This is kind of the real end of the period. We had hoped it would come sooner. And now we will have a really marvelous summer, and generally we will have highs in the 70s. If we go a few days, like 5, 6, 7 days without rain, then we may see that thermometer climb up back over the 80s. But in general, this is what we look like for the summer, and it's a wonderful time, and the air is so crisp, and the breezes are just so warm and embracing and so forth. And the reason I mention this is because San Miguel is unique in many places, of most of the retirement places that you're likely to look at, that we have a bimodal distribution of visitors and seasonal residents. So our biggest season is the winter season during January, February, and March, when a great many Canadians and people from the northern U.S. or Europe come and spend the warmer times. But we also have a second season in the summer where people from Texas and Arizona and the Gulf Coast come because it's so very much cooler. And so I mention this because if you are interested in buying a property in which you will not be a full time resident, you may want to understand that there are these other rental opportunities. At Christmas in particular, rents are fantastically high because so many people who own homes here choose to use them that the market shrinks to a shocking degree. So if you're from Scottsdale and you think that Christmas and New Year's in Scottsdale is something approaching paradise, and really it is, you can look forward to getting very hefty rents for your property over Christmas and New Year's, and then also in January, February, and March. So you may be a summer resident and collect a hefty amount of rent in the off season. So if you're planning to invest in a property that you will either never occupy or will only occupy seasonally, it's good for you to know that is the case. I do not have any involvement with any property management companies, but I can refer you to 3 or 4 of the best ones in town. They generally charge about $100 a month US, plus other fees depending on how much you want to have the maid there, and if you need a gardener, and they will also oversee some minor kinds of repair and work, like if you want your living room to be repainted, that kind of thing. And in general, I think people have pretty good experiences with them. Property companies are one of those things that often, people are not happy with, but here we seem to do pretty well with them. So if you're interested in buying a property because perhaps you expect to retire in 2 or 3 years and you'd like to become part of that now, or whatever your reason is, you can feel generally confident that your property will be well managed and so forth. I also should say, by the way, that I am really happy to be anybody's real estate agent. I have gotten several emails over the last few months saying, could you possibly be available to be my agent? And the answer is sure. I'm delighted to. If you are reasonably pleasant, I would be absolutely delighted to work with you as either a buyer's representative or a seller's representative. I am very happy with the leads I have received from YouTube and from Facebook, and I seem to be very, very simpatico with the people who respond this way. I guess that if they like me and want to connect, and then we're already 2 steps down the path, and then if they really don't like me, they just push on and I don't have to deal with them. So I really like it so much more than when I sat in an office and I had to deal with whoever walked in the door. So I'm happy to represent both buyers and sellers. I tend to represent a lot more buyers. And in many, many ways, I really enjoy doing that more because I love to show people San Miguel. I love for them to see the housing stock. I love to see their sort of sense of excitement when they come here and they get excited. So, but I do represent sellers, and I've had a good deal of success doing that. So, if you're either a buyer or a seller and you're reasonably pleasant, I'd be delighted to work with you. So I also want to say I was incredibly delighted to have lunch this weekend with Miles Wakeman and his wonderful wife, Sandy. Miles is a guy with a long history in sound recording and mixing and this sort of thing in Hollywood many years ago, and then left that to go into the coding business to sort of provide a more stable life for his family. And now in this part of his life, he's going to build a destination recording studio here in San Miguel in Los Frailes down near the lake. And I am terrifically excited. I should tell you, first of all, that Miles has a site which is called beunconstrained.com. And you'll find a number of things there on different topics, some relating to retirement, others more of an inspirational, how to lead your life kind of way. And there was for many years a destination studio on the island of Montserrat. And a great many people like Elton John and the Stones and all sorts of people recorded there during those years. And that has subsequently been shut down. And so what Miles is really seeking to do is to replicate that studio at that level of quality and in that kind of a kind, gentle, safe sort of environment. So it's really been absolutely fantastic. He knows all these things about boards that were built by important people and that how many of them were built and things like that. And so he was in search of a board of which only 5 were made. And he called up a fellow and said, I am trying to find this board, and can you give me any idea how I could trace it? And the guy said, oh, I have one in a warehouse in New Jersey. Do you really want it? And so that arrived here a few weeks ago, and other pieces of amazing quality have arrived from the US and Germany and all sorts of places. And perhaps the most exciting thing is that the people who ran the Montserrat studio, who are now in their anywhere from their late 70s to their late 80s, are all so excited about this project that they are coming to San Miguel for the final fitting out of the studio and perfecting of the sound and dealing with the dead spaces and all those things that you do when you build a recording studio. So this is all coming very soon, and it's a fantastic idea. I mean, this is an amazingly pleasant place year round. The recording studios of note in Los Angeles or in Hollywood, which are in the areas that have really become the worst with all the problems that have occurred in Los Angeles. And then both Los Angeles and London, especially London, are fantastically expensive. So a recording artist can rent a 10,000 square foot house in San Miguel for a month for what a suite in the Bristol Hotel or the Connaught or the Bel Air or whatever. So I think we have all the pieces together. So hopefully, Miles is a young guy, and the next couple of decades will just bring all sorts of magic things, and we'll be able to look back on albums that were made here and artists that worked here and so on. And so again, his website is called Be Unconstrained, as in BE unconstrained.com. And you will probably want to know about him, and some of the things about which he has written or broadcast will be topics that you will find of interest. So that's my excitement for this month. Otherwise, we go forward. I should have information on specific details of the first half of the year within the next few weeks. But I'm also going to make a video just talking about what I imagine will happen based on the effects of the interest rate changes in the U.S. and other parts of the world. But we're in a great place here in San Miguel, and I really suggest that if you are considering living out of the country, that you come here and experience this, because not only is the year-round weather really wonderful, but we have a whole range of support services, everything from people who will help you get your driver's license or pay your taxes, to now we have, really very grand supermarkets with all kinds of products and sushi bars and things that when I came here 20 years ago were either not of very good quality or completely unknown. So it's always great to spend time with you guys. My name is Ben Petrie, and I am a real estate agent, and I would be delighted to work with you if you would be interested in working with me. And I will have some more content coming where I will discuss what I imagine about the housing market, and then I think also when I actually get a hold of the numbers, I'll explain them for you as well. And I also have been thinking about making a video about who ought not to come here. And one thing I can say off the bat is, if you have no patience, you should not come here. But I'm sure there are other qualities that are important in this story. But sitting here by my pool with my dogs at 73 degrees is what I dreamed about when I was a kid, sweating to death in Jennings, Louisiana. So it may very well be part of your future as well. And I hope, if you're looking at all these places, that you really give us a consideration. A lot of the communities that people have visited and love, like Vallarta or Mazatlan or Tulum or whatever, are amazingly fantastic for a part of the year. But to try to live there year round is you usually get at least 4 or 5 months that are so incredibly hot you just can't imagine, especially if you come from a more temperate climate somewhere else in the world. So anyway, thanks again, and have a great day, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me.